Good evening, everyone. It's episode 30 of Shine at 9. It's been 2 weeks since I came online, and those of you who missed me, thank you for missing me, and I'm very excited to be back tonight. It's our episode 30, and that means it's quite special for me, but honestly, every episode is special. So if you've been following Shine at 9, you know that we feature different topics every week, and we have different guests portraying those topics. For example, we've spoken about education, we've spoken about property, we've spoken about travel, and even social media marketing. And so tonight, similar to the format that I've always had, because it's a format that I enjoy, I have a special guest, and he's here to speak with us about a leadership course that is very unique, and it's very, very interesting. And I would like to invite Anson. He's a friend of mine from Singapore. Anson, hi, how are you?
Hi, good evening, friends from Malaysia and Singapore. Yep. Hi.
So Anson is actually an entrepreneur. He's the co-founder and the managing director of Ask Training Private Limited, Ask being ASK Capital, yeah. So how did we meet, Anson?
Oh, we met last year when I've been to KL. I'm trying to find collaborators, and so Geraldine, of course, is the right match for me. That's where we got the meetup, and that was a nice one. And it's only after like almost nearing a year, then we start to have this opportunity to be on this live streaming today.
Exactly. If it's not for MCO lockdown and circuit breaker in Singapore, we probably wouldn't be doing this. Yeah. So just a little bit about Ask Training Private Limited. Of course, Anson will talk about it a bit later. They are actually a provider of best-in-class corporate training programs. Yeah, they specialize in providing Microsoft Office training programs, as well as soft skills training in communication, interpersonal management, motivational skills, social and emotional, as well as leadership programs. And they provide all this to government agencies and corporate clients in Singapore, and hopefully Anson in Kuala Lumpur and the rest of Malaysia as well. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You as a person.
Okay. Good evening to all of you again. Yeah, I'm Anson, and of course, happy to be with you tonight. Okay, maybe just a little bit background about myself. I'm actually a certified trainer and a curriculum developer since I was in this training industry. So I've been developing and customizing courses for various government agencies, ministries, and corporate clients since I started my training business decades ago, 10 years ago. Yeah, and that's more or less about myself.
He's very shy. He's very shy. So maybe I can fill in a bit about his career journey. Yeah, he's actually from the manufacturing and logistics industry. So he shared with me a bit about his story in these two industries, and he actually really enjoyed training and education. And he says that he's a director and businessman on paper, but always an educator at heart. And I really like that. It's true. It's still true, Anson?
True. I love to share my work experiences for the benefits of others. Of course, to pursue my passion further. That's why I switched my career for after 15 years in the MMC, and I'm fully focused on full-time training. And today, of course, I had my own training institute, my schools, and there's a vision to grow these schools into one of the leading training providers in Southeast Asia. That's
Wonderful.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
I love the mission. Okay, for those of you who missed our front cover just now, I'll just repeat across once more. So today we are here to talk about Three Kingdoms leadership in today's context. So Anson, how did you come about to create? How did you get into Three Kingdoms workshop?
Yeah, of course, since young, I've always been a Three Kingdoms, the abbreviation we call 3K. I have been a 3K fanatic, and I had the opportunity to attend a training previews, a course which is conducted by a renowned China from Xiamen University. He's a professor called Yi Zhongtian. Okay, he's actually an expert in that field. That course was actually conducted in Chinese. it actually giving me a lot of valuable insights from his course that inspired me to crystallize the learning, okay,
Mm-hmm.
from the course with my own leadership experiences to develop my own signature 3K leadership course. So I'm glad to say that the response and feedback so far has been overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
positive, and I'm looking forward to sharing this course with local leaders. I think both Malaysia and Singapore, especially friends from abroad, which is in Malaysia. Yeah.
Right. So as a banana, I got to ask you this: will the course be conducted in Mandarin?
So this course will be conducted in English. All this while I've been conducting this in English. But of
Ah,
course, if
okay.
I'm going to Malaysia, I do have some inquiries that would I be able to actually conduct this in Mandarin? Of course, I'll be able to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the preferred will be a bilingual, with my style of delivery, with the Singlish. That
Uh-huh.
probably will actually make this whole trainings more exciting one. Yeah.
Right, right, right. But
Mm,
having said that, even if you do, incorporate Mandarin,
mm, yeah.
definitely the locals, the non-Mandarin speaking people can understand the flow.
Oh no, no, not never an issue because it has been translated. So because in context it has been all the while in Chinese. So in every
Mm-hmm.
context that was found in the materials that I've found is in Chinese or in Chinese, it will be actually translated. I'll try to make it as layman as possible. Yeah, so that it's
I see.
easy for people to absorb on the story part. And then I'll
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to bring it across to the context of today's leaderships and how you're going to apply into your own areas. That is, I think, one of the part where it's very exciting. Yeah, many of the learners actually enjoy this very part, very moment because they can
Right.
see, they're able to see the application which is happening in today's leaderships. Yeah,
I see, I see.
programs. Yeah.
Okay, we'll just take a short break to say hello to all our friends who are watching. There are quite a few of you watching live tonight.
Oh,
Good evening, good night to you, Danny Kuah, Zen, Daniel, Sim, Wan King, and a
yeah.
few of my own friends, Gauri, Hazel, Kelvin. Kelvin is our mutual friend, Hazel as well.
Mm,
Sajid, Veronica, uh, quite a few of you, Johan and Farah. Thank you so much for watching tonight. So,
mm,
if you missed the beginning, we have Anson here with us today, a corporate trainer from Singapore, and his unique program, Three Kingdoms. It's a leadership course essentially, but he has, made it into a special program that can suit most of us. Yeah.
mm.
Even though, as far as I remember what you have told me, even though we are not in a leadership position, it
Yeah.
can still be applied to us as long as what we are working or we are part of a family, part of a society, correct?
Yes, precisely. Yes.
Exactly. Wonderful. I've got good memory.
Mm,
Okay. Anton, for those of us who do not know what is these three kingdoms, can you
mm.
elaborate a little bit further about three kingdoms?
Uh, Perhaps to say that Three Kingdoms, in shorthand, 3K is a shorthand of a Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Mm-hmm.
It is also known as one of the four great Chinese literacy classics, along with another three uh, popular literacy, which is the Water Margin, 水浒传, Dream of the Red Chamber, 红楼梦, and The Journey to the West, 西游记. Now, of course, if you ask me in terms of the historical significance about the 3K, many many do not knows that the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which was written by this individual called Luo Guanzhong, okay, in the Ming Dynasty, was based on the records of the Three Kingdoms, which is, I think there's some misperception about the two between the Romance of the Three Kingdoms and the records of the Three Kingdoms. Romance of the Three Kingdoms is actually the 三国演义, and records of the Three Kingdoms refers to 三国志. So yeah, so actually, in Chen Shou, which is actually putting the records of the Three Kingdoms in the historical records during this
Mm-hmm.
era, okay, which is more than 1,000 years ago. It captures the turbulent era of that Three Kingdoms, beginning with the infighting between warlords during the late Eastern Han regime. That was around AD 184 years. And of course, the usurpations of the Wei and conquest by the Wu by later on become Qing dynasty. Why it sounds a bit, yeah, very
Very,
historical.
very deep. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
very,
yeah.
very deep.
But I think the records of Three Kingdoms officially actually provided important information for research on early Korean and Japanese societies and acted as a template for the officials in Korea and Japanese historical records. That was the side note of it, which was very, very early. Even one of the oldest complete clinical texts in the world, the Treatise on Cold Damage Diseases, Sang Han Lun, which is based on the traditional Chinese medicine principle, was also written during that time. Okay, during that time of the Han Dynasty. So, which in other words, hence we can say that the Three Kingdoms era inspired many people with a lot of things during that period of time. Yeah. Yeah.
So
in term, yeah, sorry, I think just now I was talking about historical. That in terms of cultural significance, there are many famous lines of the novels that we use as the idioms and proverbs in the Chinese language nowadays, such as people say, 说曹操，曹操就到. 说
Oh,
曹
what's
操
that?
speaking of the devils and he just pops and appears in front of you. But Cao Cao is one of the famous characters in the Three Kingdoms. Or we would probably say 三个臭皮匠胜过一个诸葛亮. It means it was talking about basically a three of the shoemakers is better off than Zhuge Liang, which is a great strategist in the Three Kingdoms. Is one of the main characters as well. So they are actually so there are in fact there are many strands in the modern China dedicated to various characters in the novel. In Chengdu, the former of the capital of Suhan, you probably find whole stram temples that houses the temple of Liu Bei and the temple of Zhuge Liang. So Three Kingdoms, in fact, it impacts on Chinese culture, which is equivalent to the Trojan War in Greek culture, okay, and Shakespeare's in the English literature. So it's like it's an equivalent. So you can see Three Kingdoms has a great impacts in the popular culture. You will be able to even found all this in movies. Like for instance, there's this movie called 赤壁, okay, which is the Red Cliff starring Tony Leung. Have you watched that movie? Yeah, Tony Leung.
I haven't watched, but I heard of it. Yes.
Yeah,
it's one of a good one.
Yeah, Takashi Kaneshiro. And Kaneshiro, yeah, which is Jing Chen-wu and Lin Zhiling. So there are also TV series, video games, like for instance, Total War, Three Kingdoms, and there are also Romance of Three Kingdoms available on Windows and PlayStation 4 in 2020, and even trading cards for kids on Three Kingdoms. So even even on a modern pop songs, with references made to the Three Kingdoms, like for instance, there's this song called Cao Cao. Just I mentioned this name just right after, Cao Cao. That was by J.J. Lin. Okay, and last but not least, Guan Yu, which is a prominent character in the Three Kingdoms, is worshipped by the underworld for its loyalty and righteousness. So today, if you go to the Taoist temples, you'll be able to see this guy called Guan Yu. Okay, so he's known as Guan Gong and is worshipped as a deity by Confucian, Buddhists, and Taoists. Yeah.
Wow, you've spoken so much. There are so many things that I'm not familiar with in what you have just said.
So come for my course. Yes, I'll explain more to you.
But I think before I even need to go to your course, you already know what kind of leadership traits I have, probably, after speaking so much with me. Okay, so we are interested to know about the misconceptions between Romance of the Three Kingdoms versus the records of the Three Kingdoms.
Yeah, so as mentioned above, most people think Romance of Three Kingdoms is actually, most of people think that supposedly Romance of Three Kingdoms is a novel that closely follows the historical happenings of the Three Kingdoms era. And most do not know about the historical records of the era that exists, also known as the record of Three Kingdoms, 三国志. In my course, I'll review to my participants what were the real happenings to let them differentiate facts and fiction. Like in one of the incidents that did not occur, is very much popularized by the story called 草船借箭. Okay, which can roughly be translated to borrowing arrows with touched boats. So this ingenious plot has often been quoted to exemplify the brilliance of Zhuge Liang, which is a military strategist. However, in reality, this event actually did not take place on 草船借箭. For those that have watched the movie, so I will also touch on the characters of Cao Cao, how he is usually portrayed as a villain. in the context of especially the novel part. So, but he actually has many good leadership skills and qualities that we can take back for learning, such as his appreciation for the talents. So that's very
Mm.
important. Actually, in today's context, attracting talents is never an issue. It's never an easy task. So I think Cao Cao is actually one of the best quotes in his story, how he actually attract talents into his camp, into his organization. Mm.
I see. So what I'm hearing here is attracting talents. This part of the
Mm.
course should you if you are a manager or a hiring manager or a
Mm.
recruiter, it would
Mm.
be necessary for you to know about who you are recruiting, who you are interviewing for a job as well. It's good to know what kind of traits they carry.
Yes, in fact, or indeed, during my Three Kingdoms leadership training, I did came up a profiling tools, something similar to what usually people went into or goes into for the profiling like DISC or
Mhm.
MBTI. So I have a 3 case profiling tools that actually helps people to identify who they are. So after the learning, they're more or less, this is the trail that I have. Then I can actually amplify it. So I think for hiring managers, it's also very useful if they are using this particular profiling, because there are certain leaderships that was being profiled. Let's say it happens to be Zhuge Liang or happens to be Cao Cao. You'll get to
Mhm.
see whether they can actually work together. They
Ah,
can come together
okay.
as a good match or team member, good team players within. Yeah.
I see. I
So
see.
so that actually give you very insightful kind of the individuals through this profiling tools. Not only knowing the history part, but the fun part is actually also get to know who you are. Okay,
Adapting.
that
Yeah.
resemblance resonates the one of the Three Kingdoms characters. Mm,
Right. I mean, I've been assuming a lot of things about your program. So
mm.
straight to the chase. Who is this program suitable for? We've
Uh,
mentioned a few. Yeah. Why don't we do a recap for who is this program suitable for?
okay, I highly encourage all leaders who are looking to lead their teams to
Mhm.
success and a new breakthrough to attend. Studying the leadership styles of these prominent characters will give the individuals a better insights on their personal leadership styles. And this
Mhm.
clarify on their leadership styles can help them to identify areas of improvement in their leaderships and management skills, not only for managing their subordinates, okay, but
Mhm.
also help the individuals to better manage their boss as well. So 3K
Ah,
leadership
that's
actually
good.
lessons can also be applied in a business management context, which is, I
Mhm.
mean, I already had developed the course material for the 3K business strategy course. Uh, yeah, apparently, currently we already titled as applying Three Kingdom strategies at your organization.
Ah, amazing.
It has already been launched. Just
Mhm.
this month, I had conducted one. It's a 3-day workshop. This course will zoom into many practical application of 3K strategies in the real world, and I believe it will be very useful for most of the leaders. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So
Yeah,
yeah, not
I
only the
love what you
leadership,
just said. Yeah,
but you're also talking about applications as well. Yeah.
correct. I like what you just said. I mean, a lot of the time working in an organization, working in a team, even
Mm,
though you are an entrepreneur, solopreneur, I think it's very necessary to understand who you are, what you are, as
mm,
well as understanding the other person that you're speaking to.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take another break, Anson. I'm just inviting everyone who's watching us live right now to ask us
Okay.
a question in the question box. And in the meantime, I'd like to say hi to our friends as well. Nilson has joined us, Jimri, Mahi,
Hi. Hi.
Tony, Lance. Yeah. So hi everyone. Good evening. It's Monday night, and I'm surprised that we have so many people has joined us. Yeah. Okay.
Hi.
So
Hi.
if we don't have any more questions from the we don't have any questions coming from the audience right now. We'll go on to my next questions.
Yep.
Next few questions that I have.
Mm,
Anson, how
mm.
long have you run this program again?
I've been running this program since 2018. It took me
20.
about a year to
Mhm.
crystallize the cost. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So it's,
And
it's never
mm,
easy. So I started with only the leadership programs, and currently I already begin to actually introducing a new course, which is on the application part. How to actually apply
amazing.
the strategies into this context. Yeah. Mm.
Amazing. So in these 2 years, right, whether it's your new program or your original, your first program, any
Mm.
personal stories you would like to share? I'm sure there are some interesting ones.
Okay, I'd like to share the feedbacks that I received from my learners. Most of them are very satisfied with the leadership insights that they gain from the 3K leadership course. So, which I just mentioned before, we did a 3K leadership profiling exercise with all our learners. So most of them found it very profiling to be very accurate. And actually, they have brought it back to their colleagues and have even shared with them, their colleagues, that they are more like Cao Cao, Zhuge Liang, etc. So see them genuinely excited with the 3K leadership profiles. And
Mhm.
applying the lessons learned back in their workplace gives me a lot of great personal satisfaction.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of a lot of people would like to be the superhero character, the
Mm,
good guy, the
mm,
hero, the one that wins the war.
mm.
Do you experience those who, in fact, they are more of a villain profile?
Okay, so I think in the training here, we are not trying to do a labeling, which is I think in the novel they really labeled certain characters to be the
The
righteousness
good, the
leaders,
bad.
and
Yeah.
the other one is the villain. But I think it's not so straightforward as you look into as a leader whether he's a villain or you shouldn't be labeling them so because there's
Mm-hmm.
always some strengths and weakness and every individual's leaders that they carry themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very difficult to actually share this. Uh, that's precisely uh, a couple of days ago, maybe weeks ago, when my daughter was asking me when he was seeing our Singapore election was going on.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, she was actually seeing some boards hanging on lampposts, which is citing their political leaders. They are coming into the elections. So I think she asked me a questions that our dear PM Lee, is he a good man or a bad man?
Uh-huh.
So is he a villain or a righteous person? So
Uh-huh.
I think it's kind of it depends. It depends. You always see things on two sides of the coin. So there's always some good virtues, the strength of an individual. There's also a bad side of it. So there's
Mm-hmm.
there's no definite absolute characters that could be labeled them as a villain or they are righteous person. No. So that is also in today's context. We are talking about political leaders. Okay, we should not be seeing them only on one sided.
Mm-hmm.
Not on the extreme side, but you should actually be able to analyze them from a different perspective. Yeah, I think different aspect. I think that's very important.
Well, a lot. I mean, having said that, a lot of like heroes, let's say the traditional heroes that we are very familiar with, the DC superheroes, the Marvel superheroes, they have good characters, but their weaknesses are also quite strong.
Yes.
So that's where the villain role in the modern times, the villain role is a lot more fans like the villain role, like the Joker. He's much loved,
Uh,
you know,
that-
for his yeah.
yes, of course. Yeah, because I think the filmmakers is trying to show another side of Jokers. That's
Mm,
why he has. I mean, the characters of the villain Jokers has actually won more fans in his camp. So it's
mm,
exactly happening in today's leaderships as well.
yep.
So it probably could some people could see Donald Trump as a villain, but
Mm-hmm,
in fact or indeed he probably to the American he's not because he always quoting American first. So many
mm,
Americans are especially the whites. Okay, they
mm-hmm.
probably will actually like him a lot because I think he called a lot of slogans that actually is more in
Touch
favorable
their
to
heart.
their citizens. Yeah,
Yeah,
but of course,
understand.
to
Yeah.
the global context, it may not be the case. So
Yeah.
that's how I look at it. Yeah.
Okay, we
Mhm.
do have two questions answered. First
Yeah.
one we'll take from Kwawan King. Share a story in 3K whereby today's leader can apply.
Mm, I think this is also one of my favorite stories within the 3K. So
Mhm.
it will be actually after the victorious battles of Guandu by Cao Cao. Okay, I keep mentioning this Cao Cao. I can see
Yeah,
Geraldine's like, what happened to this guy? So now Cao Cao
no, it's
refuses.
okay.
Yeah,
I've
I think
heard your
it's
story
quite,
so many
yeah.
times. I love it.
So Cao Cao refuses to learn about the truth that lay within the conspiracy letters between his men and his rivals Yuan Shao. So this is actually a battle between Cao Cao and Yuan Shao, and this letter will recover after the fallen of Yuan Shao, and it was actually recovered in his camp, in Yuan Shao's
Mhm.
camp, and fell into his hands after the war. Now, reading through these conspiracy letters, which is from his man, Cao Cao's man to Yuan Shao, which is his rival, actually will reveal who actually betrayed him. However, he ordered his general to burn the letters without looking at it at all. So it
Mm,
surprises many people. Now, this episode actually shows us how much he values talent, and you rather forgive and forget so that he can use these talents rather than executing them and lose them due to the questionable loyalty. Now, this
Right.
incident to me is to measure of a great man with great foresight. So I think this is one of the application we should actually learn and pick up. Yeah,
Right.
it's not a easy part, yeah, in today's context. Yeah, but I think this is one of my favorite story. Yeah.
Nice, lovely. Thanks for sharing that, Anson. And Wan King,
Mm,
thank you so much for your question there. It's a good question.
mm,
Another question is coming from Matthew.
yeah.
Can you share briefly about the general leadership style of each of the prominent leaders in 3K?
Okay.
Without
So
revealing too much, of course, Anson.
I'll just review a few of them. In fact,
Mm,
that is what in a nutshell. That if you look at Cao Cao actually managed with his wisdom.
mhm,
Uh, so for Zhuge Liang, he actually managed just like he managed by law. So he's
mhm,
a law by law person. He followed the legislative constitution rights that's been passed through. So as for Liu Bei, he managed his team like a great brotherhood with loyalties. So these are all the leadership styles. The three of the leaders which I quoted has been actually shown. And in fact, I concluded and sum up. But then if I share this, what is the training all about? I'm be proving with more evidence and with stories. And how is it
mhm,
correlated? And each individual's leaders that's applicable. And today leadership, there are still some leaders that resonate. Some of these leaders which I just shared. Yeah.
right, very
Mm,
interesting.
mm,
Okay, there is another question coming from my watch party, so I can't beam it over here.
mm.
It's coming from a gentleman called Ronald So. Is there a story in 3K that is close to what we are facing, COVID-19 today?
Mm. And you're talking about what you're talking about what
The
COVID-19.
leader, yeah, I'll repeat the question. Is there a story in 3K that is
Mm.
close to what we are facing in COVID-19 today?
Oh, there are, of course. There are several. Instantly, I can think of one. Now, during the Battle of Cipi, which is the battle of the battle of the Red Cliff. Yeah,
Mhm,
Cipi is actually Red Cliff. The battle of Red Cliff. So that during that time, Cao Cao was actually bringing his strong armies, uh, moving his expedition south towards Sun Quan and Liu Bei. So when his most of his army, which is a million of his army strengths, they are
mhm,
mostly from the northerner. So they don't know how to handle the pandemic issues that they are facing during that period.
mhm,
So I think it's important to know how to address a pandemic, which is among which they are not immune, their immunities are not against that. So I think as for his leaderships, he because he don't see that. But on the other side of his rival, which is Zhuge Liang and Liu Bei and Sun Quan, they're able to read that. So despite of his bigger strength that they have, bigger
mhm,
army, they lose the battle because they are not able to evaluate the situations at that very moment or at very point. So if you try to correlate on the COVID issues, it's always talking
mhm,
about life and livelihood. How people is looking into for each context of the leaders in different places. Like if you look into in US, in the America,
mhm,
the I think the I think Donald Trump is in a dilemma. Should he be actually looking after the life or looking after the livelihood of his people? So that was a struggle between himself, okay, and between himself as a Republican versus the Democrats. There
mhm.
were a very obvious situations, and even in a real today's context, is also a similar things that is already happening.
Right.
So yeah, so assessing a true situation is very important in any kind of battlefield. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Mm.
Anson, we are fast approaching 9:30. I told you time will pass very fast, right?
Yeah, yeah. I hope I share enough insights of the Three Kingdoms leadership course. Yeah.
In fact, I'm about to take one last question.
Mm,
Thank you, Ronald, for that question. Very sharp question you have there.
mm.
Kelvin, this is the one for you. Do you think that with the current pandemic, understanding how to apply the management tactics from Romance of the Three Kingdoms will help the companies to be safer and better?
Okay, in my application course, I do have relevant examples on COVID-19, how companies and even how in a country's context, how they
Mhm,
address issues from a different angles. But of course, there are a lot of things to look into. You have to look into the policies, the peoples that how supportive they are on their government policies, okay, so far and so forth. So I'm actually making a comparison. If you're looking at the COVID, how does it applicable in the past and compared to now? So I have a related story that I brought up, and of course I will be comparing to today's how the China handle the COVID-19, how the Singapore handle the COVID-19 versus the US, how they actually handled the COVID-19. So it's applicable. So with that context, it also helps individuals to look into how they actually applied in their company. So there are a lot of sharings on that, in the training, especially on the applying Three Kingdoms strategies.
So Kelvin,
For
in a
your
nutshell, there's a lot of strategy, there's a lot of tactics that Anson can share.
Yes.
So since a few of our friends here are in Singapore, it's good timing for Anson. You perhaps want to share about your upcoming course.
Okay, for my upcoming course, I actually have my 3K leaderships in today's context. It's going to happen on the 24th and 25th of August. And of course, which is my new course, which I'm talking about the application, the applying 3K strategies in organization, will took place on the following month, which is next month, on the 28th to 30th, which is 3-day workshops. But of course, you want to have a full spectrum of this 3K, all about knowing the leaderships plus the applications. You'll be a 5-day workshops in total. So another good news is, of course, I've been discussing with Geraldine. Should we actually work on a preview? Upcoming preview. So it's going to be a 2-hour section of a preview on Zoom, so that you have more insights about how the Three Kingdoms leaderships and also the application part. How does it apply? So that portions you will be sorting out. For those that are interested with this preview, perhaps you can actually write to Geraldine from Back to School.
Back to School, cool. Yep, whether you're in Kuala Lumpur or elsewhere that you're watching. Since I started Shine at 9, right, Anson, I've got viewers not only in KL, not only in Singapore, because my guests came from other countries as well. So
that's great.
Who knows, right? We have members who want to join for your Zoom preview. But if we receive good news by September, I can travel to Singapore. I'm definitely there.
I'm hoping so as well.
Yeah. Okay, before we part ways, I would like to also share, if you want to know more about Ask Training, they have a very good website for you to get all the details from. They've got a list of training programs, extensive list of training programs, and including the one that we spoke about today. So just go to asktraining.com.sg. So if obviously you're watching this on Facebook, you can connect with Anson as well. And with that, we have reached the end of the show, Anson. It's so fast.
Yep.
So I want to thank you.
Yes.
We've been planning this you coming on the show for so long, and now finally you did it.
We have been talking about this for months, and in fact, our common friend Kelvin has been actually on this show much earlier than me. Kelvin,
correct.
I think he's working right now.
And Boon Hui as well. The
lovely
friends. All right. So Anson, I want to say thank you so much for spending more than 30 minutes with me.
Yes. Thank you for those joining. Thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed the very short, insightful sharing of just 30 minutes. May not be enough for you, so can always ask me out for coffee if you want to.
For sure, not enough.
Or attend the workshop.
For coffee or a workshop, straight to the workshop lines, Okay, so for all of you who are fans of Shine at 9, we've got another episode coming up this Friday. Yes, I can make it. With Zahira and Faiz, and they are from I Love Quran. So it will be another interesting, special, and unique episode. So thank you so much, and have a good night, guys. Bye.
Thank you very much. Good night.